Welcome to Backstage Pass, the podcast that gives you an all-access ticket behind the magic with the people who make Disney truly special, its cast members. I'm Dory, your host and fellow Disney fan, here to share first-hand stories from the cast members who bring the parks to life. From heartwarming moments to behind-the-scenes secrets, we're uncovering the magic together. So grab your Mickey ears, it's time to step backstage. Hey everyone, we are back with another really cool episode of Backstage Pass. Before we jump into our interview, I wanted to share a guest story, and this one is from me. So this is about a server that we have had at Whispering Canyon in Wilderness Lodge. And in case you don't know, Whispering Canyon Cafe is a restaurant. It's a table service restaurant that serves hearty Western food, including all-you-can-eat skillets. And it's also known for its jovial atmosphere and cast members that sometimes tease, sometimes joke, and all the time have great interactions with their guests. But this one cast member in particular was really special. So we had been staying at Fort Wilderness for the Halloween party and the Halloween week that we were there. And we were staying in our 30-year-old camper. And the night before, we were at the parks really late, and our camper was struck by lightning, and it fried several of the electrical components in it. And it was, needless to say, a really hot and long night as we were working on repairs. So the next day, after having we had to skip going to the parks and do the repairs on the RV, we took a break and went to Whispering Canyon. And that's when Moonshine Megan entered our lives. So she was the perfect balance between funny, ragging on us, and bringing us such levity and a day that we really needed it. It was just a really hard day before that. She gave us new name tags. She put me in jail for eating off of my daughter's plate. And when I asked for some whipped cream with our dessert, she brought me an entire plate full of it and proceeded to take the can of whipped cream and just circle around until it was sputtering and going everywhere. So I will say I have never laughed so hard in my life, and it was a day that I really needed it too. So thank you, Moonshine Megan. I don't know if you're going to hear this, but thank you. You have been amazing. We cannot wait to come back. Really cool guest experience there. Now it's time for our cast member interview with Kamryn Burton. Kamryn began her Disney journey right out of school with the college program before taking a break with the company. And then later on, she did return back to Disney as a server at Jock Lindsey's Hangar bar, specializing in immersive dining and storytelling, before moving to the Enchanted Rose, only to have the pandemic put her role on hold. Afterwards, she joined Tiffins at Animal Kingdom and eventually landed a full-time position at Star Wars, Galactic Starcruiser. Throughout her time with Disney, Kamryn continually auditioned for the Festival of the Lion King and other shows, and Starcruiser ultimately led her to her dream role. An incredible experience, even though she eventually had to say goodbye to it. So with that, I bring you my interview with Kamryn. Well, thank you so much for doing this. And the week that you're moving, that's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm excited,
Oh my gosh.
honestly.
Thrilled. I'm
Yeah.
just so thrilled. I had a conversation a couple of days ago with a Disney animator who worked at MGM when it was MGM. Um,
Yeah.
and he did animation and merchandise and everything, and he worked on like really cool films. So,
Yeah.
this is just,
Awesome.
I know.
Yeah.
And you're a completely different world than that. So,
Indeed.
yes.
Indeed.
Kamryn, I want to just find out, what was little Kamryn like regarding Disney? Like, were you a Disney fan? How did Disney enter your life? Like, how did this even become a possibility?
I was definitely a Disney fan. When I was a kid, I wanted nothing more than to go to Disney World. I wanted to be on Disney Channel. Um, Unfortunately, when I was a kid, I didn't have that opportunity,
Mhm.
but I would go to Busch Gardens in Williamsburg, Virginia, and I would get on stage and I would dance with them for Oktoberfest. I just knew that somewhere down the line I would be performing. Little
Yes,
did I know it would be with Disney. So,
that's so cool. So it was just the performing bug. That's what got you. And
yes,
desire to enter Disney, it just wasn't quite there yet.
yes,
Amazing.
yeah.
Okay, so what did you do as a kid? Like, were you performing? Were you doing community theater, school shows? What were you doing?
Yeah. I honestly started singing, writing my own songs like when I was 8. I knew that singing was something I wanted to do. I aspired to be like Christina Aguilera and Pink. So my mom would make me karaoke books and I would sing with the karaoke checks that way. I sang for my church choir. From that, I started doing community theater.
Hmm.
And then went on to really pursue it as a career.
That's awesome. Okay, so when did you first enter performing as a profession? How old were you?
As a profession, so professionally, I started probably at the age of, it wasn't until I was 21 that I got my first professional gig, but I started at the age of 9 um, with Averett University doing musicals.
Oh, cool. So when you were in that kind of younger stage, did you have a goal of like, okay, when I'm an adult, this is what I want to be doing?
Yes, I think when I was younger, I either wanted to be on the fast track to writing my own music, creating my own music. But once I really delved into the musical theater scene,
Mhm.
I was then like, okay, like I think I want to be on Broadway. I think that that is something that I want to do as equally as making music.
Right. Did you have a
Yeah.
favorite musical that you were just inspired by?
So my favorite musical and the first musical I ever did was Once on This Island, and I think
Oh,
I've done it maybe 4 times since.
oh my goodness. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. That I feel like that was the musical that completely just captured everything that I had as a teenager. I was like, oh my goodness, I identify with T Moon. I get it. Like, this is amazing.
Right?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you see the revival?
I did. It was absolutely gorgeous.
Amazing. In
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
small theater, it was so intimate and
Mhm.
so spectacular. I got to see it twice
Yeah.
as
Oh, that's
it
awesome.
progressed. Oh my gosh, amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. Okay, so when you did, you've done it 4 times.
Yes.
What roles have you played?
I've played Little T Moon.
Yes.
I've played Asaka.
Okay.
One time I was a dance captain and in the ensemble.
Uh-huh.
And I got to play T Moon for my senior year in college at Shenandoah. So,
Amazing. Okay, so you went to Shenandoah University,
yes,
majored in theater?
majored in musical theater.
Musical.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
awesome. And then what was your, I know you said you were in your 20s when you got your first professional gig. What was that?
So I did it with my college. They have a professional theater over the summer called Shenandoah Summer Musical Theater. And I did shows like Oklahoma, um, Beauty and the Beast, and I got to be a Dynamite and Hairspray for the end of that season.
Oh, cool. Oh my
Yeah.
God. That was all in one season?
Yes, it's called Summer Stock. So it's kind of like you have a week to put together a show and
Yes.
then you move on to the next one while you're performing
Yes.
one.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was how it, I mean, I remember it as Heritage, but Virginia Theater
Yeah.
Festival in Charlottesville, that's how I
Yes.
remember it. It was, we were doing shows constantly, dramas,
Mhm.
comedies, musicals, and it was
Yes.
quick. putting it in rap.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's a crazy season though. That's
Yes.
amazing. Okay. Awesome. So, when did Disney enter your life then? How did you make the transition from musical theater to, you know, being a Star Wars character?
Yeah. So this is probably a long story too. So by my senior year, I was just like, I don't have the funds to necessarily move myself to New York City. But I had a lot of friends tell me, hey, I'm doing the Disney College program. I absolutely loved it. And I said, you know what? If they're going to house me, as long as I can get myself to Orlando and I have a guaranteed job and can potentially go into training and learning there as well, I went ahead, made the move right after I completed my senior year with Shenandoah. And I did food service at Pecos Bill. And I also got to do the Food and Wine Festival. It was so much fun. I got to meet so many people. I even got to do the college program throws like a talent show of sorts. And I
Uh-huh.
got to be in that. And I didn't win anything, but I was like, okay, like there are casting directors, there are people here. And it
Right.
was in House of Blues at Disney Springs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was like a college kid's dream.
Right.
Um, and from there, I just started auditioning, particularly for Disney, but right outside of my college program because that only lasts for about pretty much a semester, so like 6 months around there.
Mhm.
Um, I auditioned for Universal,
Okay.
the rival. And I did get to go ahead and work there as Celestina Warbeck and Diagon Alley. um, and
Amazing
that was
role.
kind of my introduction to performing theme parks in Orlando.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know that this is a Disney themed podcast, but still, I am a huge Harry Potter fan and love everything that Universal has done. So, what was that experience like getting to play this character in the parks? I mean, it's truly iconic
Yeah.
character.
It was honestly legendary. Um, it had its ups and downs, though.
Mhm.
I'll be very honest. So I was very young, number one.
Mhm.
And number two, I didn't know anyone. Like all of my friends from the college program had left. I didn't have any family. Um, and all I knew were the girls that were in my dressing room. While it was a fantastic opportunity to really be a part of someone's experience in that way, like taking on a character like that and immersing someone into Harry Potter was
Mhm.
amazing. Sometimes we would have overnights. The dragon that's in Gringotts still goes all night, and I loved it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, even when the parks closed. But I did end up losing my voice. It was really scary just because emotionally I was going through so much
Right.
because I felt like I didn't have a person that was my person to talk to about things that lived in Orlando. So I did hit a rocky place there.
Mhm.
And that led me back to Disney to start serving, cocktail serving at Jock Lindsey's Hangar Bar. So
Okay.
at Disney Springs.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. So
So
was that really a you want to stay involved, but you needed to rest your voice?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just needed to kind of take a step back from performing because everything felt onto my voice at that point because
Right.
it was so important to the show to sing. Um, so I was like, let's do a little something else. Let me kind of alleviate this problem for myself. And what I loved about Jock Lindsey's Hangar Bar, which is going to translate into the story later on, is that it was immersive. Like we got to walk around and we were all pilots, but on the weekends we come and work for Jock in his hangar. And I don't know if you remember this, but there used to be the Adventurers Club.
Okay.
in the same spot. And so a lot of Adventurers Club folks would come in dressed up as adventurers. And I would get to show them all of the artifacts, and we gave special pins to certain guests as well.
Right.
So getting to learn that and then eventually go on to become a trainer
Mhm.
for immersive cocktail serving then led me to Enchanted Rose at the Grand Floridian. And I got to tell cocktail stories there
Oh,
about love, amour, and envie or envy.
yeah.
Yeah. And that led us into COVID.
Okay.
So during COVID, it was a little rocky because I was only part time at the point where I was at Enchanted Rose.
Mhm.
So I did end up losing my job kind of in a way, but I got back on the horse, so to say, in 2021. Then I started working at Tiffins and Animal Kingdom,
Okay.
learning fine dining and finding a way to include some of my storytelling that I just naturally have as a performer in fine dining. That led me to a full-time position at Starcruiser.
Okay.
So, yeah,
So just kind of going back before we get to Star Cruiser,
yeah.
you were part-time for each of those positions. As did they say, hey, you're going to be here for a certain number of months or a certain time period, and then you can ask for a change, or did they just automatically change you when they wanted to?
So you are able to ask for change after, I think it's changed since, but I think it was either 6 or 12 months
Okay.
at a location. Then you can opt in to transfer to another location,
Hmm.
which I honestly love about Disney because you don't have to go through the same old if you're kind of like, okay, I'm ready for something new.
Right. Well, and it seems like each of those roles, I mean, they truly were roles. You got to envelop this character, live it, interact with the guests, which is why, they're called cast members and not employees, because you really are part of that magic, part of that storytelling. And then you got to go and do something else. You weren't in that
Yeah.
role for your entire career.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Okay,
So,
so now how did you get Star Cruiser?
okay. So I honestly opened Star Cruiser from, I think my team, we were a part of the Sublight Lounge, and
Okay.
I was a full-time cocktail server there. I was one of the first two servers brought in for that location, and me and my leaders and the other server brought on board, and some of the bartenders, we figured out what this was going to look like,
Hmm.
what what a 3 day immersive experience that involves cocktails and food completely in a different universe
Hmm.
than Earth. What would that would look like? And I truly got to be my creative self and saying, all right, well, this is what we can do, and we can say things this way. And it was nice because I got to be kind of on the ground floor for a lot of that.
Right.
Um, but then I got to see some of my friends that I've met throughout my years of performing, maybe at Universal, maybe in other jobs here and there, performing
Hmm.
at the Star Cruiser. And I had auditioned during COVID when it was in talks and before I had even gotten the full time position. And I made it to callbacks, and then I got to do in person callbacks for the role of Linka Mock, the cruise director.
Hmm.
Um, Unfortunately, at the time, I didn't get it.
Right.
But then we would do things called play tests, where some of the cast members could come and experience the Star Cruiser in kind of a hour or 2 hour
Hmm.
time slot. So
And this
I
was
got to,
before Starcruiser actually opened, right?
yes,
Okay.
before everything had opened. So I got to meet a lot of either the casting directors or the directors of the show. And they were right there in the Sublight Lounge. And I said, you know what? Let's really put on a show. Let's do this. So I got to know them just as a person.
Right.
And they had another opening, so another audition. And I was like, you know what? I'm really going to go for it. I went ahead and I immediately got the cruise director,
My
which
goodness.
then led to getting Gaia, the galactic superstar.
That's amazing. Okay, so I will say I never got to experience the Galactic Starcruiser, and it is probably one of my biggest regrets that we did not take that opportunity because we're huge Star Wars fans. And at the time, we just had, twin littles, and it just didn't feel possible. And I just wish we had done it because, wow, everything that I'm seeing now about it, I dove in as much as I could about it. It's amazing what you all built. Just
Yes.
truly spectacular.
Yeah.
So,
I, to this day, am like, people ask me, like, what's your dream job or what's your dream role? And I'm kind of like, I've done it.
yes.
I kind of done it.
Yeah. To have an
Yeah.
immersive experience in a character that you're creating, because it sounds like you got those roles really early on.
Yes.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
really got to make it. You got to have it be this character that you wanted it to be. You helped originate,
Yeah.
right?
Also, because the nature of the Star Cruiser and the performance of it all was improv itself,
Mhm.
you would kind of have to bring that from your own experiences and
Right.
then kind of meld it into what's going on with Gaia or what's going on with the cruise director at the
Right.
time.
So,
Yeah.
okay, I have to say that as a performer myself, that seems really exciting and really terrifying because not only are you in the Star Wars universe where people know this very well, but then you're improving. So, how much research did you have to do and did you ever make mistakes? How does that even work? Because I would think, oh, George Lucas is always looking over my shoulder.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I did watch all of the movies. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna be enveloped in Star Wars. Um, and there were moments where I did like make a mistake here or there. Like someone gives me a relic that I'm supposed to know about because I am a Twi'lek. And I was like, oh, thank you. This is amazing. And then instead of further going on, I would just run away, do my research on the side. Okay, now I know. Come back. All right, I understand what this is now. Let's talk about it. Let's delve in. Yeah.
Okay, so how much, what were your instructions then? And if you can't say anything, I totally understand. Just we can move on. But were you given instructions of like, hey, you are allowed to take these breaks to do that, to do the research, to ask the questions, and then come back into the performative aspect?
Let's see. We, you know what? Why not? We had chances and times where we were enveloped in the show, or the characters enveloped in the show.
Mhm.
And then there were moments where I, the performer, got to take a break, got
Mhm.
to step back. And they were frequent because it was a big show and you needed moments to then kind of do some homework, prepare for the next
Mhm.
thing that's going to happen in the storyline. So yes, we did have times that I feel were made for that.
Yeah.
Just to, yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So in that 3 day uh, voyage, right? Is that what they would call them, the voyages?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in that 3-day voyage, obviously you're on call for those 3 days. What does that look
Yes.
like as a performer? Because, if you're in a show, you have a call time, you go, you do your show, and then you go home and sleep. But it's
Yeah.
a little bit more intensive for you there, right?
It is. So we kind of operated for the experience itself on 2 days.
Okay.
While it was a 3-day experience, it was a 2-day operation.
Okay.
So we would have to be able to commit to 2 days. And you kind of went home with, okay, like I've met Jack and Sally, and I really want to bring them in to this thing that we're going to do on day two.
Hmm.
So let me even it kind of was like you had kind of space to still keep thinking about it and curating it for the next day, which was great in some aspects, but it wasn't so great in others because you kind of
It's
felt
tough.
like you were still at work. You didn't have rest, or and the storyline itself was rather stressful. So you kind of might have gone home feeling that
Right.
stress. Yeah.
Right. It's not a job that you leave at the theater and then are coming home.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
de-rolling and kind of coming to terms with I am Kamryn and I wear this perfume or I write in this journal versus this here is the cruise director's journal.
Mm.
And this is what I wear as the cruise director. And really being able to separate those two experiences. And I know for some non performers, that might be like, yeah, that makes sense. But with it being so improv and so you being so attached to what's going on yourself, and you're meeting people, it felt like a summer camp sometimes where on the second day I'm like actually crying because I'm like, I'm not going to see you, am I, after
Mhm.
this? And
Oh,
I can't even tell you, hey, my name's Kamryn.
right.
Like,
Right. Right.
yeah,
You could maybe in a million years hope that they find you on social media.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, wow. It as a guest, you have these experiences with cast members and you have that, as a guest, I have had those same feelings of, oh my gosh, this was so special, but this is just a moment in time. And of course, it makes sense that you would have those too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, so along with that, were there any guests that you just had really cool memories of that you would want to share?
Yes, yes. There was one very resilient, strong, and beautiful woman who was going through a terminal illness. And I believe that she'd taken 2 voyages with us. And she came up to Gaia with this
Mhm.
box and she said, Gaia, I have gone to everyone that I could find, and we have made these little cards about our favorite thing about you and your performance the other night. And I had truly this box filled with these just beautiful words.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, how can I do that for her? And it was in picking a biggest fan. It was in moments that we could really create magic.
Mhm.
But that was magic for me.
Right. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. That's so special. Wow. Um, okay, so on the flip side, were there any experiences that were just awful? And it could be from the Star Cruiser or even just your time serving. I'm just, any of those like, oh, just you wanted to tear your hair out.
Yes, there have definitely been those times. Um, both serving and with Starcruiser, but I think I'm gonna keep it in the realm of Starcruiser
Okay, I love it. I love
because being a cocktail server, it's kind of it's you already know it's gonna be there's gonna be some problems
it.
there. But with Starcruiser, I think people got so into the world of play sometimes that they forgot that we, the performers, were also people
Right.
and we also have feelings. And it never necessarily happened to me, thank goodness.
Mm.
But I think it was really hard for some performers to be stormtroopers or to be the lieutenant of the First Order,
Mhm.
because you are kind of playing this antagonist in a 2 day experience where we're encouraging people to play. And sometimes they would use their hands instead of their words. And sometimes their words were like swords. So it was difficult. It was difficult, especially for some of my friends.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Would you leave, in the evening, and would you ever just say like, "Hey, we need to debrief after today"?
Yeah. A lot of times there would be little powwows in the parking lot. Wow, like this was today. Can we talk
Yeah.
about it?
Yeah.
But also, can we talk about like little Billy, like so cute? Like,
Yes.
it'd be things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure even on the worst days, you all could find the good things in there, but it's good that you
Yes.
had each other that you could talk through um and then did you have Disney higher ups that then you could go to and say, "Hey, this happened," because this was a completely new thing for them to be embarking on too.
Yeah. It was definitely a new frontier for all of us. Um, even food and beverage included in that. But yeah, we would be able to then talk to higher ups and I could say that I personally felt supported in some areas, and then some areas it would be like, okay, well, I understand we're figuring this out, but can we figure it out a little bit quicker?
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. So, how long did you end up being on the Star Cruiser? Were you there until it closed down?
I was not. I
Okay.
left maybe 2 months earlier
Okay.
because once we found out that it was going to close, we found out pretty early on. Um, I think maybe April
Hmm.
of and time is a whole
Yes.
construction
Understood.
of things. So I don't know where in the timeline, but I think we found out a few months before, and I had just come back from doing some part-time work
Hmm.
for a cruise line for Virgin Voyages, and I was like, I really want to travel the world and sing. And I was like, you know what? Well, if this is happening, maybe this is my chance to go and do that. So I accepted a singing contract with Virgin Voyages right just before they did their last voyage for Star Cruiser.
Yeah. Well, um, I would love to hear that. So you got to travel the world.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
I I have been everywhere from Australia to spent most a lot of time in Greece,
Hmm.
and I've gotten to see Singapore, just really, really cool countries and
Right.
places. Yeah,
Right. Okay. Do you have a
yeah.
favorite place? A place that if you could go back there, you'd say, "Yes, I would go back to this place."
I would 100% move to Lisbon, Portugal.
Okay.
I thought it was so fun. The food was amazing. Going out and dancing was so enjoyable, and then it's just so picturesque.
Right.
Yeah, just
I
so
love.
beautiful.
Okay. Portugal has never been on my list, but I will put it on my list. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I'm not a great flyer, so the idea of flying to these countries is not enjoyable, but taking a cruise around the world, that
Mhm.
I could definitely do. So I think that's a pretty amazing job to perform. So you have your set times that you're going to be there, and then you just
Mhm.
have the rest of that flexibility that you do get to enjoy the ports.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it a culture shock going from Disney to Virgin?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because Disney's all about the kids or the kids at heart.
Right.
Virgin is
No
very much
children.
so no kids.
Yes.
And in fact, leave that at home. Like, we're here to play.
Right. Right.
So that's, yeah.
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 Oh gosh. Yeah. Okay. Um, so what are you working on now? I know I have an idea of what's happening, but why don't you tell
Yeah.
everyone that's listening? What are you doing now?
So I kind of have come back to my roots. So I started performing, I think, in the facet that got encouraged me to pursue musical theater as a career. So I've been working as a teaching artist, and it's so funny. I never thought that I'd be a teacher,
Hmm.
but now I'm like, it makes so much sense
Right.
because not only am I teaching, but I'm learning so much about not only like just working with kids, but also about the industry and about voices and also understanding that maybe we need to talk about what's going on with ourselves, especially as teachers. Like I said, with the whole Universal Celestina thing, I lost my voice. I think it's okay to talk about our downfalls just
Mhm.
as much as it's important to talk about our successes.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I love that. And then it's such a good lesson to be able to teach kids as well that we can celebrate and we can talk through the challenges.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what is next? What's on the horizon?
So on the horizon, I'm moving to New York City
Ooh.
in at this point just a few days.
Yes. Yeah,
So
we're
yeah,
sneaking this interview in.
yes, yeah. Because honestly, I think it's time. I think it's time to start auditioning and seeing how I feel about going for Broadway and all the experimental theater that is in New York.
Right. So are you
Yeah.
going up there with an agent? Do you already have an agent?
Yes. I
Do you have actors equity?
yes, I have
Yes. Okay.
actors equity. I have an agent. She's phenomenal. So yeah.
Ah, amazing. Amazing. So you're going up there just ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
Indeed. Indeed.
Oh my goodness.
Luckily, yeah, I have a good community
Mhm.
there as well. So
I can imagine all of the different roles that you've had. Most of them are based in New York. Most
yeah.
people end up having that be their home base. So it's good that whereas when you started, you didn't have that community, now you do.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, indeed.
Awesome. Okay, so we have a little bit of rapid fire questions. I like to call them magic minutes. A magic minute. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So the first is, what is your favorite Disney movie?
Ooh, Hercules.
Ooh, great answer.
The
Great
music's
answer.
amazing.
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness. I am hoping, I know that it's going to be in the West End. I hope that it comes to Broadway.
Yes.
I hope that they make
Yes.
that position because we will be there. It's one of our family's absolute favorites. Okay, good answer. What character do you identify with the most?
Ooh, that's a good question. Um, hmm. You know what? I'm gonna say Tiana,
Yeah.
and it's because I really love food. and cuisine and the culinary aspect of life. I'm a foodie,
Okay.
but I also am like very, I know what I want to do in life and I know my aspirations and I know that I'm going to get there. It's
Hmm.
just a matter of how and when and why and
Oh, I
all
love
that.
that. I love it. It's so true because there are so many of the Disney princesses that they just want something else. But you're right, Tiana is the princess that knows what she wants. It's not just she
Yeah.
wants something different. She's like, this is my goal. So I never even realized that about her, but I love that. Okay. So if you could only visit one of the Disney parks, and it could be the Disney World parks or any of them, what would it be?
Well, I'm going to be very honest before I answer this because I've not been to Disneyland or any of the other ones. So
Okay.
I'm going to go with what I know.
Okay.
And honestly, for me, it's Animal Kingdom. I love the animals. I
Okay.
love the rides. I love the shade.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was talking to a friend who is taking her family on their first trip down, and I said, just so that you know, now she's a runner and everything. I said, but just so
Yeah.
you remember, it's different. All of the other parks are very flat, and Animal Kingdom is not. So you will be
Yeah.
surprised at how much that sneaks up on you. But you're right, there is the shade, which
Yes.
the other parks do not have as much. Okay. If you only have time for one ride, what's that going to be?
Now I'm going to contradict myself.
Okay, no, that's
Um, Tron.
okay.
Tron is my ride.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Do you go
through
in
and
the
through.
front or do you go in the back?
I, probably front. Why not? I'm a thrill
Yeah.
seeker.
Okay. All right. There's something really fun about being in that front row and having it be completely black in front of you and it's just you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. Um, I know you said you're a foodie. So what is your favorite snack on property?
Ooh, that's a good question. Let's see. I don't know if they're still doing this, but food and wine in the American Pavilion, they normally have lobster rolls and carrot cake.
Okay.
That's my go-to.
Okay.
Yes.
I love it. A good classic.
Yeah. And
Okay.
they're just mini. They're
Yeah.
they're super small.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. I love it. Well, we're going to be at Food and Wine this year, so I'm going to go check it out and see because that's
Yes.
not one that I would have thought of. I love it. Okay. And do you have a tip or trick that you learned from your time with Disney that you can share?
Ooh. Um, Let me tip or trick for going to the parks, enjoying the parks.
Yes.
Okay. I would say if it's raining, don't let that don't let that destroy your time at the parks
Mhm.
because honestly, most people are going to run. You're going to be able to stay, enjoy shorter wait times. It's still just as fun, if not more fun. I feel like I'm not one to run in the rain. I'm like, oh, perfect. In fact, it's time to go to the parks.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and
Yeah.
it's cool. So
Right.
yeah,
And
yeah,
if it's hot and it's raining, then the rain feels great. I mean, you're gonna
exactly.
step in puddles, your foot's gonna be soaking
Yeah,
wet, so just step in that first puddle and then you're gonna be fine.
yeah. And it's Florida. It's not
Yeah.
going to last long.
No, it's not. No. We were actually, my husband was scheduled to be in Clearwater for business and there was a hurricane coming, so we evacuated to
Mhm.
Orlando. We had season
Yeah,
passes, so we were like, let's go to Orlando. I'll take the kids
yeah,
while Tim's working. And it was the best because it was so empty and
yeah,
it was so rainy and so wet and we were just like, all right, here we are. And it was the
yeah,
time. So I completely agree. Go in the rain.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Well, where can everyone find you if they want to connect with you?
Yes, I am on all platforms um, underneath Kamryn C. Burton. If
Okay.
you look up Kamryn C. Burton, like Tim Burton.
Okay.
You'll find me. Yeah.
Awesome. Perfect. On all the platforms.
Yes.
Amazing. Well, I just want to say personally, thank you so much for what you've given my children in helping them in the time that they've been working with you. And it has been such a joy talking to you myself. I love this.
Yes, likewise. It's been
Yes.
fun.
Good, good. Good to relive your Disney time.
Yes.
Well, I am so excited to be cheering you on as you are embarking on New York and everything that has to offer. So, we'll miss you here, but thank you
Yes, and
so.
I'll be sure to make some visits too. So
It is a very easy train ride to get back.
yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so, so, so much. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
That's a wrap on this episode of Backstage Pass. I hope you loved getting a glimpse behind the magic with me today. As a note, the stories and views expressed in this podcast are not affiliated with, endorsed by, or sponsored by the Walt Disney Company. And the stories, they don't stop here. I want to hear from you. If you're a current or former Disney cast member with a story to share, or if you've had a truly magical experience with a cast member in the parks, I'd love to feature it on a future episode. Reach out to me at the link in the show notes. And of course, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with fellow Disney fans. Until next time, keep believing in the magic.